Welcome back to the PWC Qualifiers Day 4. In a huge upset, the Renegades are able to take it over the Pittsburgh Knights 3-0. That moves the Knights to the 4th seed coming out of this qualifier week, which means they'll be playing Na'Vi in the first round of the quarterfinals, or first game, rather, of the quarterfinals on Saturday. Our next matchup between Spacestation Gaming and Kanga. No seeding to be decided in this one, but could move teams up and down further on in that bracket. Blue joins me for set number 2 on the desk here. Thoughts on set number 1? Quick recap. Ooh, what a wild game that was from the Renegades.
Well, I mean, Renegades has been playing kind of in between that middle ground all week.
True.
I didn't expect them to 3-0 the Knights.
3-0 for sure, I think, is where the big surprise comes from. So they move on. They'll be awaiting the loser of this set, and then our next set of the day will determine the 3rd seed from this week. But SSG, we've only seen a little bit from them this week. Close set against Flashpoint on Tuesday. They get the 3-0, and then pretty convincing in the rest of their games. You know, we talk about kind of peaking at the right time. Do you maybe see some of that out of SSG? Do you think they're playing some of their best Paladins right now?
I don't think they're playing some of their best. I think they're playing good enough to keep advancing in the tournament. This is going to be the test if they're peaking at the right time, because their opponent on the other side, Kanga, has been playing lights out.
Yep.
SSG, same thing as Renegades, middle ground, but their middle ground, not so Renegades middle ground, you know? They beat Renegades, so they're playing better than Renegades, but still middle ground for what we expect of this squad throughout the entire year.
And if nothing else, this game will, the winner will be confirmed at least 1st or 2nd seed, which there could be a difference in there between, you know, Envy and Virtus Pro. Who you want to play against there. I think the front lines have been a great topic of conversation throughout this week, and this is maybe an area where SSG have a distinct advantage over Kanga. I think Rashao and Sadak, do you think they're maybe going to be able to out-frontline Kanga today?
Quite possibly. I think that would be the case. That's what needs to happen most of the times against Kanga. Rashao, he's had a couple great games. The question is SSG on Atlas. I mean, Rashao, Sadak hasn't really impressed me, either one of them playing that champion. So sometimes they give it up if they don't ban it, and it kind of backfires on them. So are they going to ban it out the entire time? Are they going to try and play it? I mean, I'd like to see them play Ruckus. Sadak on Ruckus, that was...
Yeah, no, I think Sadak had a few fantastic Ruckus games throughout this week, and something they can continue to lean on. I kind of asked him a question, sort of where do you see the Ruckus on the tier list right now? Obviously, you know, Khan, Ash, they've been some of the stronger champions in that same role. But I think you have to give a boost when it's Sadak who's playing it. You know, whether it's any other team trying to pick up that Ruckus, I think when it's Sadak on it specifically, you have to bump it up like a tier or two because he's just so good on that champion. They're going toe-to-toe with Kanga today, who I think I agree with you have been playing some very good Paladins here throughout this week. You know, pressure kind of off of a lot of these teams now. They're already through to the quarterfinals, but as I kind of mentioned, these matches are the difference between playing Envy, Virtus Pro, NIP, Na'Vi. I don't know. Pick your poison, I think, is how you worded it yesterday. I don't know if I'm excited to play any of those guys. But we brought up Rashao. Talk to me a little bit about Joel's. He has a tall task ahead of him today to go match up in that front line. You know, Rashao gets himself Barrack. Joel's likely then on the Inara is kind of the dynamic that we've seen. How important is it for Joel's, for this Kanga team, to have their front line kind of stalwart here?
Well, with Rashao and Joel's, it's kind of weird because these two teams like to play double off tanks, but Joel's and Rashao can't really fit that dynamic at 100%.
I agree.
That they want. If Joel's gets Barrack or Inara, he plays at his best, and he's done that this week. As you can see on the Barrack, lots of good corridors that he can hold down. So are we going to see Jag Falls? Are we going to see Stone Keep? Are we going to see Bright Marsh? You know, maps that he can work with the Barrack. And if Rashao gets the Barrack or Inara, what is Joel's going to play against that? And also, Rashao kind of has like a one plus over Joel's because he can play Khan better than Joel's can, in my opinion. So they could run the double off tank over there. But Joel's have to step up. I say give him Barrack. First pick Barrack.
Yeah, I think you might have to do that just to give him some sort of an advantage. I mean, and then you look at kind of KDA. It's such a specific metric, but throughout the HRX qualifiers this week, Joel's has been hovering around a 2.3 KDA, which is the exact same as what Rashao has been at, a 2.3 KDA for him. Granted, SSG have played one less game, so maybe tilt that. But then you look at the rest of the roster. 4.7 KDA for Mitau, 4.5 and 4.3 for FreezeGod and Sadak. And then everyone on Kanga, except for Guerra, who's at a 3.1, is 2.5 or below. So, I mean, the dominance, I think, has been outstanding for SSG. And then some ground still to make up for Kanga. You know, they've maybe had an extra PPL opponent or some extra games to play here and there. But one extra game really for Kanga is a difference maker there. I'm excited, though. These are two teams that, you know, everyone makes that argument on any given day. Either of these two teams can beat anyone. So I think this could very well be the 1 versus 2 matchup here in this qualifier week. Map bans, bottom of your screen. Frog Isle, Ice Mines, both taken off the board. Stone Keep and Splitstone Quarry to follow. Nothing really jumps out to me there. I think, you know, Frog Isle, pretty standard ban. I think both teams.
2 small maps, then 2 kind of big maps. Nice hit scan maps.
Open.
So a little less Strix, I guess. But then again, he's pretty good on every map.
Shattered Desert. Okay. So a kind of long, maybe some sightline breaks here, but flat by and large is the way that this map goes. And you bring up Strix. I'm interested to see maybe where he falls in this set. Not that SSG haven't played the Strix, but it's been, I think, much less than
everyone
what we've
else
seen out of Kanga. So I'm curious, and I think that this is maybe the smart way to go about it. If SSG aren't going to play it, just ban it away, because we've seen what Chronix can do.
I think Kanga has the upper hand here. In order for SSG to really get a grasp on this set, Rachao's going to have to play really, really well. He's going to have to out-tank Joel's on either Barrack or Inara on that objective in those mid-fights. And then you're going to have Ares really step up because, you know, FreezeGod, he's been playing good this week. But then on the other side, you have Chronix and Evil Eye both popping off. So there's that con first pick as well.
That's right. I think that's smart. Get especially with banning out of the Ruckus.
Yeah.
Get Sadak on something comfortable. And they brought up a pretty good question at the end of our last set to the Renegades and kind of where Ashe has been this week. I don't think she's been bad, but I think she's kind of fallen into that, you know, second or third wave of picks as far as off tanks go, where, you know, you're not necessarily thrilled to have to go out and pick up the Ashe, and you know, resilience I think maybe plays a big part in that. But I think that highlights why maybe it's so important for SSG to grab this con.
Yeah, I think Ashe is really good when Strix is against it.
Sure.
You need the Ashe to dive that Strix.
Right.
You know, just get in his face, assert dominance, whatever it may be. Pressure that Strix out with the Ashe.
Right.
Last set, we saw it come out because the con was taken away from Moonchopper. So maybe in those 2 situations, we'll see the Ashe come out and have some prominent games. But for right now, I wouldn't expect Ashe to come out. I mean, Inara's still on the board for SSG.
Right.
Rachao can play that very well. Kanga, they secure Barrack for Joel's. Chronix, Evil Eye, their champ pools are not under attack by picks and bans.
Right.
But, you know, the Barrack is, the con is, and that's what's important.
They might goad, so they do goad kind of double off tank here for SSG. I mean, resilience, all that aside, I think Ashe is still in a good spot. So getting some of that double aggression for SSG, I think is smart from them here. Cassie, I think 10 times out of 10 or 9 times out of 10 maybe, because this watch it'll be the one. That goes to Chronix because I think he's very potent on that champion. Maeve, we saw what Shadow can do on that champion in our last set. I think this is another kind of pivot, though, where either FreezeGod or Ares could play that Maeve, and that leaves a little bit of flexibility open towards those last 2 picks. They'll be searching for a healer and maybe one more damage dealer for Shattered Desert. Kind of thinking long and hard here. Now they're in a spot where the off-tank kind of pool is a little bit diminished. Do you just snag Inara and go double point tank, I guess? Fernando maybe could be an option.
I mean, Torvald's still up as well. So is Terminus.
Careful.
There are options.
There are options. You're right.
Are there good options?
That's the question.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. They're going to leave it open to the last pick, though.
Yeah, that's a good choice to leave it open for the last pick. You do secure your IO and your Bomb King. Those have worked very well for Kanga this week. So that's important. Grab those now. Let's worry about the last front line if we are going to grab a second front line. Depends on what SSG answers with. Furia is something they've used a lot. Genos and Furia. They're very aggressive in their gameplay. And they very few times you will see SSG kind of sitting back waiting for initial picks.
Right.
They are very aggressive. They like the Furia. They like the Genos.
I think maybe if they had their choice, they would have. Although they love Furia. But IO could have been another good support for them. I think Kanga picking that up for their side is smart as well. But aggression is what it looks like for SSG. Double off tank, double aggression there. Willow for some high-flying flanking, and Maeve as well. And that's where that flexibility comes into play. I would assume that's Ares on Maeve and then Freeze God on Willow. Now wait for that Inflame to fully engage.
I don't like Willow on Shattered Desert.
This was where SSG played against Flashpoint, and it was the closest game of that set. That set went to, or that game rather, on Shattered Desert between SSG and Flashpoint went to 7 points, and Freeze God was on the Willow because they banned out the Maeve Eevee. And it was very, very close. So they're maybe looking for a turnaround performance here. Kanga, they do go double point tank to kind of counter out that double off tank.
I think Flashpoint had a Leon there for the Willow. And there's not, there's maps where Willow can like hide while she's in the sky and stuff like that. There's not much line of sight hiding on Shattered. I like Kanga's draft here, even with the double main tank. So
I like giving Chronix and Evil Eye something that they're comfortable on as well. Well, there's no seeding to be secured in this matchup, but top 2 could be secured for whatever team wins this matchup. Game 1 will go down to your casters.
Thank you so much, Dave, and you are right by that one. That is kind of the key right now. If you win this one, you're guaranteed top 2. If you lose this one, you go up against Renegades, which right now, I don't know if you want to go against Renegades. It's kind of a scary thought, Bees.
Scary boys now, the Renegades. I think they've been saving up, you know. They've been doing the
believe
Spirit Bomb for the whole season. They've been charging the energy, and now they're releasing it. Now they're ready to go.
Either way, it's going to be a fun one. We're going to Shattered Desert, though, which, as Dave had mentioned, was the maybe sloppiest map we've seen out of SSG this entire time. Flashpoint into Renegades, now into Kanga. You could argue that maybe they've had kind of an easy bracket kind of walking forward.
Compared to some of the other teams, most definitely.
Yeah. But we'll have to see how they're going to manage themselves here as they come through. Is there anything about their draft that kind of stood out to you more, or anything about Kanga that makes you think one has an edge coming into it?
I like the aggression from Spacestation. I like the fact that they're just going to be able to pop some ultis, especially Cherish. We've seen them on Splitstone yesterday, where they just literally take Morale Boost 3 and they just charge in as fast and hard as they can, which I think is going to be nice for them. But Kanga have a lot of point control. They basically have 3 tanks at this point with the IO on their team. But when IO drops down that fast, the doggo don't capture no more.
It's not going to do too much. Evil Eye down as well. It's opening the door for SSG to stand here. Rachao, a little low on the side. They're looking to hold on to it. 30% ticking up and going for Space Station Gaming, as they've managed to kind of lay claim to this one without IO around. Kanga, even with 2 point tanks, haven't really been able to do anything about the objective, especially against Freeze God kind of holding the side angle.
Yeah, the point tanks are good for capping the point, but if they can't get in there because of the aggression from the enemy team, then they're not going to be as useful as what you may hope to be without the match. And we see again, they're just dropping down. They can't even get to the point. The damage coming out and the aggression coming out from Space Station is far too much. And they can't even get close to the point. A couple return kills coming in now, though.
Nice dash coming from Rachao. Going to be just off the mark, though. Chronix still alive on the side, and Joel's not going to let up on the force. The two going to work in tandem to make sure the damage is done. The deed is done. They're back in control of the objective. 81% to 81. They're going to match and surpass. They just stand on the objective. Now, though, you've got a Fae Flight in the air. Freeze God seems to be mad. A couple of good shots are going to be coming through, but Ares is the first to fall. With overtime going the way it is, it doesn't look like SSG have much in this fight. They are going to be able to touch and keep it going. They're losing a lot of their health bars in the process. Good shots coming down once again from Freeze God, but he's under control. King Bomb going to be rolling forward right towards him. A kill for Evil Eye, as he's going to be able to seal the deal on that one. Looking to try and take it to these 2 tanks. Sadak is low, and that is going to be a kill for Rhino. One more will get rid of Rachao, but it doesn't even matter. They grab the point. They keep control, and Kanga fight back from the brink of a point loss.
What a fantastic retake there coming in from Kanga. As we were talking about the aggression that the Space Station guys had, it's really surprising. They had lost a couple people as well. They still managed to get on the point. They still managed to gain some semblance of control of the point. And then even with, again, a really strong retake effort from Space Station gaining, they had the Luna on the point. I think Luna really did help out a lot on that point fight. Because it was on the 99, you have to focus down Luna from the point while still trying to have a really intense fight around the point at the same time. I think that was just a little bit too much for the Space Station boys. Saying that though, once the Bulldozer comes online and that Luna is just a little bit less effective, that fight probably would have swung a little bit more in favor of Space Station Gaming.
It's interesting to think about the fact that in a team composition with Barrack and Art, you're kind of fighting 2-point tanks here, or 3-point tanks really, with Luna as she is. Like you said, once Bulldozer comes online, maybe makes it a little easier. They have a minute and a half right now to get the last about 25% of the push for Kanga. Not too many snags on the road so far. They're finally going to hit one. This last corner, probably the toughest to break. It kind of opens up. But that's going to be a seismic crash to the backline. Going to stun Rachao and Sadak, going to set them up for some good shots from Chronix. Rachao is incredibly low, can't really get into fight. Sadak is incredibly low, and that's going to be another Fade Flight coming out, but you lose your front line. You're looking to lose another one if you are Freeze God right now. Aries going down, Rachao going down, Freeze God flying and doing whatever he can. It's going to be a quick pause here from SSG as they try to figure things out. Doesn't look like things are working out as they go down. The payload moves in, Kanga find themselves up 2-0.
I think from my perspective there, the biggest issue that the SSG boys made was having both of their tanks on one side of the defense. And that allowed Chronix to have a really nice angle from the enemy from the other side. And the tanks got so low that if they then tried to push towards Chronix to try and force him out, he definitely would have killed them. They had no choice at that point but to stick to their guns, take the angles that they'd already chosen.
Yeah.
But Chronix was just so free. And a free Cassie in that kind of circumstance is definitely going to lead to a lot of casualties on your team.
And I can say, I don't think I've ever seen someone as disengaged as Rhino was right there. Like, it kind of felt like he was just like, yeah, I'm just playing Paladin, you know how it is. Like, casual match, not too focused, not too worried, no big stress. And I mean, when Aries is 1-5, Freeze God's 1-3, what do you have to worry about? They're finally getting a little bit of Cauterize online, but no Bulldozer, notably here for SSG. Whereas Kanga, I mean, all the resiliences in the world going to keep him going. Sadak gets aggressive on the side into Rhino, and it looks like it's going to be hurting him more than helping him.
Phenomenal wall there coming out from Rhino, just trying to stagger him out. Freeze God had to push in there to save his front line, or he would have definitely had fallen at that point. I like the way they see from the fact that they're actually not using the dog now on the point. They're opting to put a point tank on there instead. Is it the right play? They have both on there, actually. So at least that means the Barrack is going to stay nice and healthy. Having recharge from his own turrets and Luna on point is definitely going to help. Not a whole lot happening right now. SSG kind of giving a lot of map control and point control to Kanga.
And finally, an overpower going to come through. You deal Joel's. There's going to be a King Bomb coming into your backline looking for some kills, but it's going to be Evil Eye who gets taken down. Aries starting to turn this one around. Good damage onto Rhino, but he's going to find the kill onto Chronix first. They trade out support for DPS, so it might not be enough as Gara puts his name on the board, but Rhino, last man standing for Kanga in this engagement. Seismic Crash comes through with the stun, but it's 96-31. He goes down, and SSG keeping themselves alive and afloat. It's not going to be enough, though. Double kill coming in for Joel's as he steps onto the objective. Overtime sticking down. They should be able to touch, but it's not going to be a good look for Freeze God, and Kanga are up 3-0 over SSG.
Lovely decision making there from Oz Rhino. He knew he was going to die. Rather than trying to get them last few capture points off the point, he opts to just walk to the side, use his Seismic Crash just before he dies, which gives a phenomenal entry for Barrack to come in and clean up the team of SSG. Unfortunately as well, Sadhack didn't manage to get his Asher off. That really could have been a turning point for the fight.
Well, now you're looking at it. Aries showing up when he needs to. A double kill for him. Freeze God picks up one. Midtow picks up one. There's a third for Aries in the fight just to keep things rolling for him. But it's been kind of quiet from the one that you want to see the name of the most. Freeze God has been here. He's on a 4 streak. He's doing some good damage, but he hasn't been the same, you know, as you see on Eevee, as you see maybe when he's on Mave or when he's on these kind of hyper carries. And it's weird because to me, SSG, they just aren't a Willow-based team.
No. That's what I was saying when they were in the draft earlier. And Kanga took the early Cassie that almost kind of forcefully pushes Space Station Gaming to take the Mave to counter out the opportunity of Kanga having both. You don't want your enemy team to have Cassie and Maeve because the ult combos are just so strong.
Yeah.
So when you force them then onto taking the Maeve, you do take away the Eevee from Freeze God, which is arguably his best champ. Now, I'm not saying he's not good on other champs because Freeze God is one of the best players, full stop. But his Eevee is just something else. His Eevee is top tier character.
And honestly, I feel like we've not gotten to see it too much this tournament so far. It's been locked away. Willow right now is what he's trying to make work for him, and they're finding some good fight back towards Kanga. It's 3-0, but 40 seconds left, and Kanga are nowhere near the push that they were during the last round. They got about 75% of the way before they even had a stall. This time they're at 25% regressing. They have 30 seconds to figure out how to get back on it. Aries has turned around in a pretty big way.
I like the aggression from them as well, pushing Kanga straight back into their spawn. They're not letting them have a lot of free map control. Once they've wiped them, they're recognizing that they need to push in, they need to forcefully push the back out and make sure that once they respawn, the fight is still going to be far away enough from the payload that even if they lose the fight, Kanga still have a far way to go to even get the first touch off. And we see here, Barak is so low, he's trying to push his way towards the cart, and all they have to do is just burst him before he gets there. Luckily enough, they do get the Inara to have the touch, but how long is it going to be now before the overtime totally comes out of the question and we get to see the next point fight?
And the biggest thing, we say this all the time, but it is worth noting, the longer you're in overtime, which for a push this length is going to be a while, the faster it drops. So if you even step off for a second, which we saw yesterday, it could absolutely end your round in either a good way or a bad way, depending on which team you are trying to defend here. It's going to be SSG. Aries is going into the back line looking for a couple of kills. Jera's going to go down first. Chronix maybe the second target, but Evil Eye will be the one to fall. They're trying to just eliminate everyone that's a big threat on Kanga and then slowly move forward. But they need to stop the payload from going forward. It's about 80% of the way now. Joel's finally taking some damage. Looking like SSG are going to find a solid defense, but not without some bite back. Joel's at least one kill in the process. That Inara's still going to be there. Everyone else has respawned. They're not going to be able to get back in time, but that was a dangerously close call for SSG.
That was. They went to the back lines to try and wipe everyone out. As you said, that was going to be the main point of contention towards the point. So they kind of did it backwards. Rather than pushing through them, killing everyone, and they went to the back lines and came back through to the cart, killing everyone, which was a really good play from them, but as you said, kind of risky considering how much push the Barrack got there, but definitely worked out for them in the end. Another thing that I want to bring up on the point of the overtime as well that you were talking about, is it makes Luna very unsafe to use to push. Because Luna doesn't travel with the cart. So you're using Luna to push the cart and the overtime is going to expire instantly. The moment that cart moves away from Luna, that very second, if you are not ready, then you're just going to lose your overtime instantly. So it's a really good technique there to make sure that the dog is not going to be as effective as it should be.
I don't know if everyone else heard it, but I heard B's voice of experience of having Luna's not be there for the overtime faltering for him.
One
that
too
is
many ranked
something
games.
you learn more than something you find out. Although we all found out today, so I guess it's a little bit of both. Either way, it's going to be looking good as they come around. SSG have used 2 of their ults. The Inflame gave them a little bit of early ground. It's 15% lead on the point for Kanga right now. King Bomb looking for the back line, trying to figure out who he wants, but he just can't. He couldn't go for the Ashe. He ends up finding himself a death. Aries gets the kill there. Hasn't used the Midnight just yet, and as of now, they don't need it. It's going to take control here for SSG, 31-15 in the Midnight to make sure that the re-engage from Kanga is too difficult.
I think I would like to have seen the Midnight a little bit later than that. I would rather he'd waited for all of the enemy team to actually respawn and start their push engagement. Coming into a push into Midnight with the pressure of a 2-1 deficit on the point, with obviously the comeback mechanic, would have made it a lot more stressful for Kanga there, I think. He kind of used it when they were still waiting to respawn anyway. A little bit of a wasted ult, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter. Space Station Gaming do end up taking the point for this
And the
fight.
factors pretty much come right into it, where they have comeback mechanic. He's going to charge it up in the next 2.5 minutes. It's probably just like, I mean, if I don't use it now, I don't know if I'm going to use it. Yeah,
very
so
true, very true.
Throw
very
it
true.
out every now
It
and then.
would have been maybe 1 or 2 seconds later. I'm being a little bit picky on Aries there, Mo.
Honestly, either works. He's able to keep him back. Whether it was him, whether they were waiting originally, doesn't really matter. They get the objective, and like you said, it's 3-2 now. SSG look to tie this one up. Inflame at 93% as they come around kind of through this middle room of the payload push. And there's a lot that can go right and a lot that can go wrong just in this area. Again, this last corner, kind of right around where the payload is stalled is probably the toughest part to break through because of the viewpoint and angle that Kanga has.
I think it always depends as well as on how much control you have of both sides here. You can't just control one side of this map because you definitely need the other side to have enough angles to do enough damage to get the cart pushing successfully through. Even if you don't get it through to the completion, just getting it through that actual choke point of the U-turn there, so difficult sometimes.
Well, so far they've been able to get it moving slowly but steadily forward. As Joel's is finally able to touch down, you have some aggression coming from Chronix, but he's going to be the first to fall. Aries with a good turnaround, stays alive in this engagement, and is going to get aggressive, looking to get a kill onto Rhino. They trade out Rachao in the process, which is going to hurt them more than help them. Looking for some long-range daggers as well onto Evil Eye. The kills slow down. Joel's goes down, but Rhino's still alive with a wall available to keep him safe, keep him on this objective contesting. Same thing with Luna as well, but Aries is coming back for a big one. Freeze God goes down in the backline. Chronix has just a sliver of health, but as of right now has managed to stay alive with Evil Eye holding the stairs on the angle to the side. Keeping this payload at bay, they've got 30 seconds left, and SSG need to figure out how to crack this shell.
I really like the decision-making coming out from SSG. They weren't really winning either side of the fights, so they just opted to just use the Ash Dash, go straight, try and clear out the right side of the fight, and then bring it back in with a man advantage. Unfortunately, it didn't work in their favor in the end, but I really like the idea behind that.
As of right now, they're trying to figure out what they need to do. 5 seconds left. They lose Aries, who has arguably been one of the best things they have going for them on the push, and it's going to go into overtime here without the Mave. Freeze God picks up one. Aries did take one down before he was eliminated. Now, Freeze God gets rid of Evil Eye plus Gera, which is going to make sure that they have a little bit more wiggle room to work with. This overtime is dangerous. Chronix gets to the backline, gets rid of Mitau, is looking at a good angle against the tanks, but the tanks are the ones that are falling for Kanga right now. SSG walk that one in. They tie this game up, and they keep themselves afloat with all 5 ults available.
I think they would have had to use the Barrack ulti there if they wanted to 100% keep that from being pushed through, but I don't think it would have been a 100%. So the decision making there would have been, do we throw the Barrack out, hope that we do retain the 3-2, or do we allow them to push this through now, save our ults, and use the ults for the point fight that's really going to matter? And I think that is the better choice of the two. Because coming into, if they had pushed it with the use of the Barrack ult, and you're in a 3-3 situation without that ultimate, I really think you're going to struggle now pushing into the SSG boys.
I mean, you're definitely in an awkward position right now where, I mean, all 10 ults are up, but you just lost the last mid. You have to figure out how you want to adapt if you're Kanga. 22, 11, and 10 for Aries, a slash line that is kind of like no other that he's had this year. Bulldozers have come online. Luna looking to take maybe a little bit of damage because of that. And ultimately, Rhino getting aggressive. Fae Flight popped in the background. You can hear and see Freeze God up in the air. That's going to be a good grab onto the Inara. Tossed out into the Badlands. And well, she's going to actually use her ult to stay afloat and in the map. Rhino going to be able to get a good stun. Unfortunately, his team is falling around him. He stays alive, but it might not be working for him. Might be a waste of an ult. If he gets staggered out here, that is going to be a good call. Runs towards the edge of the map, towards the Badlands, takes the flame damage, and does go down. They got 42%, but now SSG take the lead. 54-42.
That was some 4D level chess plays there. I was looking at the screen, I was thinking, why is he peeking this corner? He knows he's about to get Commander's grabbed. Like, he knows Khan is about to ult him here. Why is he doing this? And then straight into the ulti. Had the remainder of Kanga survived there, and while he was doing a 2v1 fight, that would have been such a good play. Unfortunately, the remainder of his team did end up falling, so kind of faltered to the wayside and ended up being a little bit more of a waste than a positive, but that was still impressive, I have to give him that.
A smart call from him, but it hasn't been enough just yet. Rhino is the last one standing around the objective. A couple more shots are going to get rid of him. Overtime ticks down, and even though they fought back from a deficit, Spacestation Gaming are the last one standing on the objective. It was a rough start. I mean, we were up 2-0 for Kanga there, but they're able to take that one. Again, that one fight, that one ult, maybe if Kanga win it, you're in a prime position to win the game off of that. Unfortunately for him, he kind of got zoned out, then staggered out afterward. So a really good call from SSG, conversely, kind of kept them not only afloat, but happily in the game.
Well, I mean, he did have 2 people on him as well. That's why I said that it could have been actually a good use of the ultimate, because with 2 people on him, you know, your team should have the advantage then in the remainder of the fight. But unfortunately, it just didn't turn out that way for the rest of the boys there. Not really quite sure what happened. Obviously, we didn't get to see, but We can only assume SSG played some good ults of their own.
Yeah, well, they were able to use good ults and get themselves 1 map up. They need 2 more to be able to seal the deal and guarantee themselves top 2. If Kanga lose 2 more, they're going down to the bottom bracket. Let's see if they can turn it around right after this.
There's something about SSG and 7 points here on Shattered Desert, and they go down 3-0. They win 4 straight, and they take game 1 over Kanga. And it blew. It looked like they could do no wrong at the beginning. Kanga, it looked like they were going to run away with this one. But that slow burn, you lose 1 mid, things start to kind of roll out of control from that point on.
You know what really hurts is a lot of people, they see it and you go up 3, or no, you cap, get defended 3 times in a row,
Right.
and then the team that had to play defense 3 times in a row gets the capture. This one I think is worse. All you need to do is cap one more time.
Yeah.
And they able to cap 4 straight times. That was rough, but the Willow, beyond my belief, on Shattered Desert did play a large part in it.
You pointed out, though, that there wasn't a whole lot of, direct damage hit scan to kind of limit Freeze God throughout this game. I mean, a lot of it, I guess, is on Chronix at that point. Maybe if, the Flutter isn't up and you're kind of fighting on a level playing field, the Evil Eye has a chance, but they didn't really have enough, I think, later on in that game to mitigate Freeze God. 17, 10, and 17. Can't forget about Ares as well. 23 kills for him. So this is a great example of the damage dealers for SSG kind of running away with it.
Yeah, he went blast shields on the Willow too, so that helps with the Cassie, the Bomb King, and the yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah.
I was thinking along
I was
with
trying
you.
to
Like,
find
there's
out
one
if
more, right?
There's an
And then-
ability somewhere where, yeah.
I'm sure there is. Frozen Guard is map number 2 here. A map that we haven't really seen all that often. Maybe an example of it here or there. Slower in most regards. The mid fight is just as fast as any other, but the longer sight lines on the push make it difficult. I think SSG smartly again banning out that Strix. Kanga are going to take away the Cassie though. So now limited. I mean, those are 2 Chronix picks between the Strix and the Cassie now off the table. Can play the Leon, can play the Victor. So I'm curious to see where they pivot here. Io banned out as well from Kanga. So Makoa's still available. Do you jump on that if you're Kanga?
Yes. Actually, I don't know. I mean, yes.
I think you
have
do,
to,
but
but I don't know.
I mean, what do you give up? So you
Is
give
Rhino up
them
to the
Makoa.
task? You give up to Khan.
Oh, right. Then you give them Khan Barrack if they want to do that.
Not even Khan Barrack. I mean, they can go double off tank again. That's what SSG is really good at when they play their aggressive playstyle with either Genos or Furia.
This is an interesting kind of pick thread. I think both teams are kind of calling one another on what we think you're going to pick. So they do end up going with the Barrack, but it's Willow instead. Likely one more time for Freeze God. Khan unpicked through 3 picks, still on the table.
Ah, put that Mave away. Grab the Khan.
It still could. It could be the next pick. Do you like a Khan Makoa stack? They work well together, you think?
No, not really, but if I mean,
but I mean, it's powerful. And the potential maybe is enough. The overpower gives you a little
Actually
extra to deal with the Willow, maybe.
You can't go Khan Makoa. I just realized Joel's, man. You got to give him a main tank.
Yeah.
He's got to play Inara.
I think at this point, they're gonna maybe look at one more healer. So SSG. I think I agree with kind of that point. I think Barrack is already locked in for SSG. Kanga realized that in all likelihood they won't pick Inara. Leave that for Joel's later on. Makoa's a strong enough off tank to kind of compete. So I think in a dream world, somehow Barrack cycles back to Kanga and they're able to get both Makoa and Barrack. But that would have been way too much, I think, SSG to give up. But it is going to be the Maeve and Furia. Ares on that Maeve puts up 23 kills in the last game. So now they're going to give it over to Kanga. Usually Evil Eye when it's for Kanga. I think Chronix maybe a couple of times has played that Maeve. But SSG thinking long and hard about their next couple of picks here. Surprising, if nothing else, Blue, to see Khan not picked through 5 picks.
Yo, Space Station, lock in the Inara.
That's what I'm thinking, right? take away from Joel.
Kanga will have no idea what just hit them. No.
Hit me with that Inara Khan triple tank. I don't know.
Take the Inara.
I think you have to go Khan here.
No,
maybe you don't have to.
You can go Inara and just mess up Kanga.
I don't know. I think
Joel's is not playing Makoa, bro.
I know.
I mean, he can play Ashe. We've seen him play Ashe.
Right.
I think that's the better way to put it.
I think there's enough available for Joel's that Inara doesn't completely knock him off. All right, so now through 7 picks, Khan isn't picked up just yet. SSG, I think, at that point are just feeling comfortable that Kanga already have Makoa as their off-tank. They probably agree with you and that Joel's likely isn't going to play Khan or really the Makoa. So they might be able to get away with this 10th pick Khan, if they even want it. They did hover it, didn't lock it in. I think Victor for Chronix here would be a very solid pick. Some of that long range confirmed to counter out that Leon.
Oh, man. If this is not an Inara pick right here.
Well, it's got to be, right? It's got to be Inara.
They're hovering Victor in the other one.
Yeah, it has to be.
There we go.
It has to be Inara for Jules. I think it was always going to be Inara for Jules. I think SSG probably realized that as well. Let's get the Leon this round of picks as well as the Genos. Take that away from Chronix, but Chronix very potent on the Victor as well.
Oh, Chronix, no Nessa here?
Could be the 10th pick Khan. Technically don't even know if Khan is going to get picked here. They could go something else.
Well, he's got one more chance. They could go Ruckus here as well, but I don't really like Ruckus on Frozen.
Yeah, I don't know. Or do you just pivot entirely and
Has
do
Fernando
something
been
ridiculous?
picked this week?
Has Fernando been picked this week?
Oh, boy. Here's the triple DPS.
Wait, didn't I just say that you could pivot away entirely? I did say that.
Take the butt. We get it, Dolson. Big brain, big brain Dave over here.
Where is Fernando? Fernando has not been picked this week. So that's an interesting little factoid. Fernando has not been picked. The lowest picked champion is Sky at 1 and Torvald and Tyra both at 1 as well. Fernando at 0. SSG, lock in triple DPS. Khan goes unpicked, unbanned. Do you like SSG foregoing the Khan and grabbing the Buck?
Yeah, man.
You think it's good?
On Frozen Guard. This brings me back to Valencia days when Shasha was playing Buck on Frozen.
I think it could be some fun. I think SSG have grabbed themselves a composition that can get aggressive, dive in at Kanga, but they do have that Makoa. Watch out for Rhino on the Turtle. Game 2, let's go.
Well, we've seen Maeve on Frozen Guard do really well. We've seen Eevee on Frozen Guard do really well. Haven't seen Buck in a while, but it's something that can work here, and it's going to be what SSG have opted into. Someone who just kind of came onto the scene, and, you know, Bees, this might be directing the conversation, but I feel like NIP was the first team to start kind of picking him up again. Specifically, like Alex
certainly,
picked it up.
yeah. Alex, I remember when before I started coaching them, I remember them picking it up and me just thinking, like, what are you boys doing? He's like memeing around for the afternoon.
You lean back and you're like, I need to coach these guys away from this exact thing.
This pick, I'm not sure. But to be honest with you, it's actually done really well. Every time they've used it, it's actually been a pretty decent pickup, to be honest.
So I want to know your opinion on it. I have seen 2 builds. Obviously, the bulk up, hey, I'm going to sustain what we've seen for years out of Buck. But Bugsy ran one that I personally like. That was a Bounce House DR. How do you feel about his options? Is it just bulk up all the time?
I mean, bulk up is most certainly the
better.
the tried and true is what I will go with. I'm not going to say necessarily better because I don't want the lashback from the community telling me otherwise. But yeah, the bulk up is definitely the one that's been used the most. I actually kind of like net shot as well. Net shot damage is absolutely disgusting. If you hit that net like into like a barrack, if you hit that net shot into a barrack and then a couple of dinky headshots, holy moly. That's some damage. I swear, I think Fishico played that on Bazaar. I'm pretty sure he was playing versus us. And I remember Bonka was on the barrack and he did not know what was going on.
Well, as of right now, it feels like SSG don't know what's going on. It's 99-9 on the other side. They're looking for some kills, looking for something. Rachao's the first one to really go down as this fight looks like it might be coming to its end. They finally move back in. If they can get rid of that Makoa on the other end, that's 2 tanks down for Kanga, leaving them with 3 men standing. Evil Eye on the objective, going in for the trade with the Willow. Finds the trade with the Willow and is left standing around the objective. That should be a capture for Kanga. Well played. A lot of that, it wasn't even a, oh, well played. They got all their kills right there at 99%. It was mostly just, yeah, you stood on the point.
Yeah, they forced them there with Evil Eye on the point as well. Evil Eye standing there and saying, you got 2 choices. You either let me cap this or you come and try and stop me and I'm going to kill you. And he did a good job of that.
A little bit of both coming through. And I will be honest, I don't know what I would have expected from this team, considering you have to flex, but didn't really call Ares being the buck. If I had to run through it and run through their roster who would play it, I don't know who I would have given it to. I guess Freeze, but with a Willow on board, probably don't go that way either. Now she's going to be up in the air. Speaking of Willow, looking for some backline kills, try to stop this payload before it gets to the 50% mark. And this is an interesting map where that 50% changes the dynamic of the fight.
Very much so. I want to just quickly tee it back onto the buck point you made. There was a game, probably a lot of you don't remember, not a very memorable game, but you know, there was a game, Spacestation Gaming versus Ninja Pajamas. There might have been 5 DPS on each side, and that's what Ares opted to play.
Was the buck?
He went for the buck on that round as well, yeah.
I can't believe I didn't have that one written down for me.
Yeah.
I forgot. I must have been desking that game. I remember because, yeah, it was Dave and I, because the distinctly second map, I didn't want to do any analysis because I was like, anything I say here is moot because they're going to do it again. And then they didn't. And then it got to the nitty-gritty details where they came through. Right now, the nitty-gritty details are Kanga with a minute left trying to get back to the payload. They get rid of Rachao. They get rid of Ares. They get rid of Freeze and Sadak over here. Well, Sadak will get rid of Sadak. That was easier, I think, said than done. I'm going to assume that was intentional and not I was trying to dodge them and accidentally slipped off the map.
There. Definitely intentional from Sadak there. Kanga getting quite a nice tasty little push here coming through as well. As soon as Spacestation get the Lian back there, that's when the trouble's going to start for them. That long-range damage is going to be difficult to push through. The Buck, I feel, kind of falters here, though. The Buck really can't do much until they actually get towards the bridge. His long-range damage isn't that amazing, and it's not like he can just jump into the 5 remaining players of Kanga and try and do something, especially with that Makoa hook available. Probably just going to get instantly hooked and instantly burst. So the Buck right now, semi-useless. It seems like they're choosing to let them push to underneath the bridge to this choke point, and then they're going to hold from here where they know their team's going to be just that little bit more effective at fighting them off.
Yeah, they're going into overtime right now. It's going to maybe cause some trouble for him. Joel's at half health, but that's a good hook onto Freeze God. They're going to be able to get the kill off of that one. Rachao jumps down, gets rid of Rhino. So it's going to be tank for Blaster. 2 tanks, 1 Blaster. The kills are coming out, much like you said. Come through this choke point, get under the arch, and right into kind of a vat of sharks that were lying in wait that are SSG. They tie up the game, looking more solid towards the very end there than they did at the beginning. What was it? I mean, in my eyes, it was very specifically they didn't touch the point.
Yeah.
But what could they do to get to the objective at the beginning of this next round that they just weren't able to accomplish last one?
I think their team composition is very much focused on what the Buck is going to accomplish in the mid-round. And if Kanga are really good at rotating around the Buck, then there's not really a whole lot that they can do. They can't really outright win the point fight. So if Kanga leaves somebody on the point, continuously rotate around from the Buck, I'm not quite sure what the Space Station boys can do here. Like, even the Willow ulti on this map is not really fantastic because there's a lot of places that you can just hide inside from the Willow ult, or just use angles in different corners to hide away from that as well.
It's a map with built-in bomb shelters.
Yeah, precisely.
From the airstrike that is Willow's Fae Flight. Maybe keep you under a little bit of duress, but nothing too serious. They have Inflame as well on the side of Kanga, which is probably going to be a big deal. In fact, it's going to come out right now. A good shot coming out from Mitau is going to connect, get a chunk taken down from this Inara, but it's not going to be enough overall to get rid of a kill. Aries looking for a shot, but it's going to be Chronix who returns. The barrage is good. The heal is good then onto the Maeve, keeping Evil Eye into this one. Keeping Kanga on the objective, 18-18. They finally take the lead, 21-18, as they take that one extra tick, looking for their way to feel comfortable.
That was a fantastic bait from the Maeve there, just to like get just low enough that the Buck was like, yes, I have to push in here. This is the freest kill of my life. Instantly into the barrage from Victor, and at that point, it doesn't matter how much self-sustain you have, how much bulk up you have, like, you are not surviving that barrage.
Some good shots, trying to do whatever he can. Bug headshots are nothing to scoff at. Rhino here is definitely going to kind of ignore them, though, as his team comes up, backs him up. Rachao, Aries go down. That's 87 and rising, looking to close out on a 100% capture rate here. The triple DPS theory is there, but it doesn't seem like the execution has quite fallen into their laps. They did start off pretty rough on Shattered Desert, though, so SSG maybe just have to come into their own. We'll have to figure that one out. Depends on this push from Kanga. With, I think the biggest thing in my mind right now is the Inflame coming up right when it did. A good choice from them, a good barrage as well. Good ult usage from Kanga made that fight so easy. Yeah,
most definitely the ultimates there really did pull through for Kanga on this one. I like now that we can see the Buck being a little bit more aggressive at the start here while he still has the opportunity, before they're going to have to start sieging back into their base once again. Because it comes to a point, I'd say maybe from this point onwards now, they are just going to have to give them the free push until it gets to the point. And they have a lot of time left of this as well. If they can get a pick onto maybe, say, the Lian in the base, Spacestation don't really have anything to hold them back anymore. We see Buck trying to get corners here, but all he's going to do is eventually retreat back to his base. Because, yeah, as we see here, he's just not effective at this fight on this long-range portion.
That's the most awkward spot. This is where, you know, Willow, if she's not hooked out, can do really well. This is where Leon, if she's not hooked out, can do really well. And then there's Buck, who exists.
He can stand there. He can look good, you know. He's good at that, I guess.
A good wall here from Joel's going to keep them locked in the base. And will go down. Of course, they have another exit to get out here. They're trying to try to contest this. A minute left as the payload is at 98%, just a few feet away from conversion. But the kills are coming up red this time around. Spacestation are going to be able to find a brief respite, as there's going to be one more kill. Chronix, once he goes down, and Evil Eye will definitely make this easier. Chronix is going to be able to make it out of there. Hightails it as fast as he can. The rest of the team goes down. They reset. They're going to be waiting. Barrage at the ready. Midnight at the ready. Soon enough, you're going to have the seismic crash as well. 30 seconds left. Definitely in a position for an overtime. Anything Kanga can do? Is it worth ults?
I'm not sure what they do now. I think the blast play they did was probably their best chance. They went in with a nice Makoa hook. They gave them a free pick onto, I believe it was Aries. They used the Inflame to push him with aggression, and it just wasn't enough for them. They don't seem to have the damage to get through the siege, whereas on the opposite side of Spacestation Gaming, once you come under this doorway here, the damage they have from that Buck into the Lian, it just seems too much. Maybe Evil Eye needs to find a way to get around. Maybe he can do a cheeky little Sim Solo flank, which, although it was not effective when Sim Solo done it, maybe he can make it work.
Well, it's going to be an Enlightenment kill on to Chronix there. He trades it out, though. Sadat goes down for his efforts. Fae Flight has been popped. Fae Flight is effective and does find them a defense here as they find ultimately 4 kills, 5 kills total. 3 for Aries at the very end there to tie this one up 2-2. But you have to look at what was used versus what they kept. Yes. Dome Shield, gone. Fae Flight, gone. Barrage, gone. And that's pretty much it on the side. I believe there was an Inflame at some point there, but Gara's already at 89%, so who cares?
Yeah, it was the 0.5. It was the push before that they used the Inflame. Just looking at this now, you can just see that it is still just a win for Kanga, although it's not a conversion. To lose some of the most important ults on your side, being the Barrack ult and the Willow ult, in exchange for pretty much only not having Victor ult. I mean, Inflame from Fury is going to be charged in about 2 seconds, and 3% on a Makoa ult is just one shot. You're going to fire one shot before you need to use the ult anyway, so Kanga is pretty much coming out with a strong set of ultis here, which has been what has won them the game so far. So it's going to be very difficult for Spacestation here to reclaim this point fight.
Aries is probably the one that needs to go the biggest. Got 3 at the end of last round. Needs to do something here to be able to make this work. Kanga already on the objective, 24% for free at the beginning. finally stalled out. But Rachel doesn't have a lot of healing behind him, and that's going to be the Ancient Rage in his face. He's half health. He's one more hit away. The Rocket Boots going to keep him alive for a little bit, but it's not going to be enough. Gara gets traded out for that front line, but it's definitely not going to be worthwhile. Rhino are the ones who are burning down every member of SSG. They all have to turn and run from this Ancient Raging Makoa. And now they have a good zone going forward with it. Not really anybody in a position to touch either. Joel's going to be, or sorry, Rachel is going to be respawning. Will be able to potentially come through, but that's 90% so far with no answer from SSG.
I want to quickly point out Joel's out in that fight there. Really good use of the seismic crash. The Makaro had been used, and his target barrack has just ever so slightly gotten away from him. Rather than make the Makaro ult totally useless, they opt to use the seismic crash as well. Stun out the barrack and just give that free kill for the Makaro. Really nice use of ultimates there.
And then a proceeded slaughter afterward. I mean, you get the objective. Beautiful wall from Joel's as well to just make sure no one could touch. He's just chilling. I mean, like, he has probably the easiest job on Inara in a game like this, where it's just like, you just don't need to worry about anybody. There's no flank coming for you. There's no DPS. Maybe you have to fight their tank, but at the end of the day, just stand here, be a happy boy, throw up your wall.
Make those numbers tick up. Make them hit 100. You've done your job good. You've done your good job. So the Faithlight coming out here, but into a Makoa shield and into a Earthen Guard Inara. Not really the most effective way to use the ult. And now the boys on Kanga know this as well. But fortunately, Joel's just dropped. That's going to stagger them out very significantly. They're going to have to fall back now. Wait for the respawn times before they push in. Nice job from Kanga pushing out here, though, as well. They're definitely not going to let them... As I said earlier, they want to make sure that they're using this push-out time to as much of their advantage, because once they get back onto the long-range fight, they just have to siege again. And although it's working for them, the one time that the siege stops working, they lose the game.
It's going to be, yeah, that exact moment, right? That's the turnaround.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what happened during the last map. They're able to get up 3, now 2. Could be 3-3 if Freeze God has his way. How aggressive he's starting in position. About, well, I'd say 60% of the map in control of SSG right now as they start to push it back towards Kanga's base, but not as full press as they could get. Aggressive and trying to do anything and everything they can in their power. Couple of good shots here. Depending on the trades, we'll determine who's going to be able to find this. 30 seconds left on the clock to get back to the objective, which is going to be the big call. But Evil Eye Rhino go down. And honestly, for Kanga, that might be all she wrote. They're running towards the objective for overtime, but they're just systematically getting picked off here. Next will be Joel's, then will be Gara. And without something like an Eevee, I don't see crazy backdoors coming through. Gara, though, with a nice turnaround on Ares, at least gets a return kill.
Yeah, Kanga, although they knew the fight was over there, at least they stood on the point for a little bit of the extra free credits. A little bit of extra push time there. Not going to be useful for anything much more than if you did need some extra credits for the next item. But those small, minute differences can actually lead to a huge difference later on down the game. If that's the difference between Rejuvenate level 2 and Rejuvenate level 3, those heals coming through from Jera on top of that are going to be massive. And if, let's say, just in a perfect world, you get the extra Rejuvenate for extra healing, and then your healer also has morale boost. Those extra heal numbers mean that could turn one Inflame fight into 2 Inflame fights within the same mid, which is a massive advantage for the side of Kanga. So definitely was the correct play to push on and just squeeze out those extra little few bits of credits if they can.
So here's something that has nothing to do with anything in-game.
Okay.
Did Freeze God grow a beard between the season and now? Like, I don't remember seeing him with that beard, and it's kind of catching me off guard.
I feel like it's just teetered along as we've seen it. So Nara did manage to get either the next level of Rejuvenate or a Wrecker, both of which are actually going to be so useful during this fight. A Wrecker into the barrack when you're a Nara is so good. That makes his survivability in his bowling ball so much weaker, which is basically what makes Barrack the only reason that Barrack can be a point tank is because of his bowling ball resets. So if you take that away from him, that's such a big power play.
Well, and right now you take that away from him along with his life and his dome shield. The man's left with nothing after Kanga have had their way. They use a lot of ults to get here. The only thing still up is the barrage. And as of right now, especially with that Enlightenment, it's the only ult available right now, giving Chronix a very big head start in terms of how this fight's going to go. It's going to be some good shots trying to fight off Freeze God is Evil Eye. One slightly higher health than the other. It's going to be Chronix 2v1. Does not end up helping him out. Maybe the distraction factor will keep them in this barrage. Going to be targeted up. The binoculars are here, but the target's not going to come through. It's one drop, but it's not going to be enough. You have Rhino and Joel's both kind of low, but not as low as Rachao is going to get burned through. These Wreckers are doing anything and everything they can. And Kanga, I mean, much like every other point fight, had pretty much nothing to worry about the entire time. It feels like they were in control of that. The pushes didn't turn over, but they don't really care.
I like the way as well they were definitely, as soon as the Fae Flight was coming in, as we said earlier, the little bomb shelters on this map, they just ran back in. They looked outside, seen a butterfly in the sky, and they said, you know what? I'm going to play inside today. I'm not going to go outside. I like the little interaction at the end there as well with the Willow in the back line. Victor literally just runs away. And he's like, you can't defeat me. And then in comes the Maeve as well. It's like, yeah, but she can.
Just, hey, you might not. I can't take this 1v1, but it doesn't matter.
I'm going to get a friend real quick. I'm going to come back.
That nice phone a friend coming in clutch when you need it for Kanga. They tie it up 1-1 here. So keeping things interesting, I think, for both them and SSG. Again, winner of this set guarantees himself top 2 out of the tournament. We'll have to see how it goes right after this.
And just like that, we are tied up here. Kanga are able to bounce back. Another 7-point game. These two teams have apparently very, very close skill-wise, and it shows here in the scores that we've gotten in both of these games. Game 3 will be a tiebreaker here. Remember, we're in best of 5, so a much shorter leash as far as how many games down you can go here, but Kanga keeping pace with SSG. Blue, SSG pivoted to the triple DPS. Didn't quite work out.
No, it did not. A lot of space was created by Rhino, and Chronix with the Victor pick played exceptionally well. So,
and that's an interesting kind of conversation to have. You know, Khan fell so low. Obviously, hindsight is 20/20.
Khan wasn't even picked.
Right. Are you surprised that you give up Makoa? You ban out the Atlas, which opens up Kanga to grab the Makoa, and you don't grab the Khan at any point. Is that maybe, in retrospect, a pivot that you would have made if you were drafting for SSG?
Yeah, they definitely could have used the Khan here. I mean, there's a lot of aggression from the side of Kanga. You have Rhino on the Makoa. You have the Maeve, the Furia, and the Victor. Anara can play aggressively, not as much as you would hope in the rest of this composition. But, I mean, Khan would have been big there. Throw Anara off the map. Does well with a Genos pocket behind him, along with Barrick. I don't know. I don't know about the Buck pick here.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mind the creativity. I mean, I love teams kind of working into that, trying things out. I mean, you can see it wasn't like it was a blowout game. I mean, this is, 1 point away, one mid-fight of difference to where SSG are maybe able to stay into it. I mean, that's one of those things with Buck as the game goes on. Cauterize starts to mitigate some of that sustain that he has for himself, so the longer the game went, maybe Kanga feels more comfortable. But if nothing else, I'm happy that SSG are feeling flexible in the sense that they can try out different things. And I love kind of seeing Maeve in this set after the potency and the importance that she had in our first set of today, and now seeing both Ares and Evil Eye having big games for both of their teams on that Maeve. I imagine she's going to continue to be a contested pick throughout this set. Jaguar Falls up next. I wonder if Bomb King may be on the horizon. That's the first thing that jumps to my head for Evil Eye. All about getting him on a comfortable champion, and Bomb King could be over the horizon.
Yeah, the Maeve pick really working out for the teams today, whether this set or the last. I think Buck took more damage than Barrack last game as well.
Probably.
Yeah, so
Probably. I mean,
that's a rough day for Buck.
You zone down that Buck, then not going to be too happy. I mean, similar to what we saw last time where Kanga banned out, granted their second pick this time around, so they're going to ban out the Makoa instead of the Io. Leave things a little bit more standard here for the draft phase. SSG, get Rochelle, that Barrack again, and we've seen what they're able to do when later in the draft they're able to pair that with a Genos. So Kanga may realize that as well.
Gotta take the Inara here.
Maybe not, though. We saw how late the Inara could get drafted, right? They could leave that to a 10th pick. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, but, I mean...
They could, I don't know. Well, I guess that depends on whether or not you think SSG are going to try to double point tank you this early on in the draft. I wouldn't be surprised if Kanga... I was thinking Bomb King kind of before we jumped into this one.
Either Io Bomb King or Terminus. I mean,
or
Terminus,
both.
Inara Bomb King.
Or Io Bomb King looking like the potential lock-in here. And it will be. So I think Bomb King is very good in the hands of Evil Eye. Would have potentially been very good in the hands of Freeze God as well. So I don't mind that. But they're also giving up a little bit extra. How do you feel about taking Io Bomb King, but with still a Khan, Ash still on the board? Are they giving up too much?
No, I don't think so. They're getting what they want, which is Io and BK, something they've had a ton of success for. These two teams, man, this is mind tricks because the two teams do have weaknesses, so they have to try and force the other one into it, and it's getting a little intense.
I agree. I think there's a lot left on the board, and then both teams are just kind of picking what they want, and then
you see they left the Cassie open this time. Last game Kanga banned it because they were first pick. That's how they were able to get as much as they wanted. Io's left open too, so both of them go pretty early. Khan's going to come through. That's a good pick for Sadak.
I mean, I guess you're looking at a Nara Ash here if you're Kanga for your front line, yeah?
You have to. There's 0 tanks.
Unless we want to see Fernando's first pick of the tournament. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but
Fernando is good on Jag. Fernando's not a bad tank. He's just not. He's not better than.
He's not better than the other ones that normally get picked up, right?
Yeah, he's good if you need a tank and there's no one left.
Termina's been picked twice, just by the way. A small side stat. Terminus has been picked twice this week. 0 of them were wins, so he's sitting at a 0% win rate this week. Sky being hovered here for Kanga. This would be interesting. And they disagree, so they pivot away right back to the Ash. Lock in the Ash, hovering the Inara, and saving one more damage dealer for the end of it.
Here.
I would say that Sky is a decent pick because of her damage from Debilitate, but Cassie's on the other side, so.
Yeah, I agree. That Scout mitigates so much of Sky's kit, both
Plus,
of her escapes.
once Illuminates come online, it's pretty difficult to play Sky.
Yeah, especially in a map that tends to be relatively close-quartered. You don't even need to probably fully upgrade all of those Illuminates with, depending on where the Sky is fighting. But at Kanga, they're going to lock in Io, BK, Ash, and Nara, waiting for that last damage dealer for their 5th pick. SSG are going to lock in 4 and 5 rather. Maeve one more time. Keep your eye. I mean, I always bring up, the flexibility of both Freeze and Ares onto that Maeve, but this is another one of those scenarios where I'm not sure because they can both play both. I would assume Freeze on the Cassie and Ares on the Maeve.
They got baited, man. They gave up the Maeve because they had to grab the last 2 tanks.
Yeah.
I think if they...
I don't know. I think Kanga are okay with the Bomb King, though. I think they're happy with that, and then they grab a Leon for Chronix as well. I think they've got a pretty well-rounded... I think both teams have kind of blanket standard comfort comps for both of them. Yeah. But I'm more scared of Barrack Khan, I think, than I am of Inara Ash.
Yeah, they weren't going to take the Maeve anyways. Evil Eye would be playing it. He's going to be playing BK. Are they going to go Victor or Leon here for Chronix? He's played well on both.
Do you think that Kanga's draft between Io, BK, Ash, and Nara gets mitigated too much by resilience? Do you think that this is an easy resilience buy for SSG?
It is, but at the same time, look how much DR that team has. I mean, Ashe, Shoulder Bash, Inara, Mother's Grace.
Yeah.
With Io.
Sure.
I forgot the name of the talent where she gives DR.
Goddess's Blessing, I think.
Yeah. I almost said Solar
I'm
Blessing.
so bad at IO. That's I don't remember. Do you like what Kanga have drafted here? Do you think they have what it takes to break the tie?
Yeah, I like Kanga's draft with all the DR, even though it's a lot of CC.
Lots of DR, lots of Bomb King, lots of comfort for Kanga. Let's go down to game 3 and see if they can break this tie.
That's going to be the question, whether or not they can. And Bees, I'll levy that one to you. I mean, they get the Bomb King. Evil Eye's been looking insane on it lately. Shadow has shown us what I think he can really do. Is that enough to win Jaguar Falls for them and take the lead here?
Bomb King is really good on Jaguar Falls. The close quarter, like kind of compositions that this map tends to lean towards, Bomb King is top tier in this. I like the fact as well, first rotation, they're grabbing that IO, showing that Jera really does like this IO pickup. And I think it shows when he actually gets to play it correctly, why some teams are opting to actually ban the IO away from Kanga. I think Kanga's the only team where people are specifically banning support champions away from them. And if that doesn't show respect to an IO, I don't know what does.
I mean, I still think it's funny. Yesterday we were talking about Genos, and when I was thinking of Genos players this year specifically who had like come to my mind as most impactful, I got Vex and I got Cuss, and I was like, Gera has a quadra kill with one ult on this champion. How do I not think of him? And it's because he's taken up the Furia and the IO.
Yeah, that's very true actually. But I'm putting it straight out here. Best Genos ult of the season was the Nip Bird off the map Genos ult.
That was really
the
hot.
greatest ult of the season, full stop. No bias from me whatsoever.
It's one of those things. In a couple days, Bees, you're going to be sitting behind NIP looking for your win in a best of 7 against one of these teams. We'll be finding that one out pretty soon here. In fact, it could be one of the two that you're watching right now. They're coming through. Evil Eye going to be able to get rid of Mitao. Sadak trying to hold on to the other side. It's healer for healer here in the first fight. 45-27 in favor of Kanga. As the shots are going to be coming through. Sadak going to get melted down here. Rajao just around the corner. And he's not going to be able to find any sort of position and get back in this. Freeze God, some good disengaged shots, knocks up the Inara and gets her out of the objective, at least the immediate mid-fight. They're fighting from room to room as Rhino's going to go for a flank, looking for the Cassie here. It's going to be a little bit of a good knockback. They're just going to be able to hold their own. Nothing explosive happening just yet, and that's to say something. Bomb King going around for the flank, but Freeze God's the one who gets the kill.
A lot of these knockbacks end up seemingly to save the character they're knocking back. That knockback onto the Cassie pushed away so they can no longer attack her. And then the same for the Inara on the point. When he knocked back the Inara, he just put her into a nice little safety hole away. So she's like, cool, I'm going to heal up.
You're right. I'll just walk over this way real fast, use this wall, keep myself safe. It's 93-87, but SSG have control of the point. Joel's going to be coming around, slowed around as well, half health, but he's not going to be able to get there in time. That's one of the downfalls of Inara. Ares goes up and over the wall. Rajao goes down, but it doesn't really matter. They've got the payload. They're moving it forward. So they're going to be able to take control of this fight, take control of this game as of right now. Inflame is the only ult charged up for SSG. 3 on the side of Kanga. They're so far able to find a hold about 25% of the way in. 2 minutes left on the clock.
I think as well, the longer this game goes on, the easier it gets for Spacestation Gaming. They're going to start getting those morale boosts online for the Fury ult. They're going to start having Khan ults for the starts of rounds, which makes it instant 4v5 fights. And as we spoke about during the death segment, that was amazing. Nicely played from Ares there. The longer the more resilience they get as well, the easier it's going to be for Spacestation Gaming. These first points, when items like resilience are important, are so impactful. Those extra 300 credits that just allow you to gain the advantage. You're winning the point fight as well. In general, you're ahead on points. You're ahead on credits.
Yeah.
Then plus that 300 boost, you can buy so many more impactful items that the enemy team sometimes just cannot afford.
You don't get to see it too often, but the net worth, you can see about 200 between the lowest member of SSG and the highest member of Kanga, and that's between the Inara and the Khan. Otherwise, it is a pretty hefty lead, 300 plus gold from the objective, as you mentioned. Rhino going to go down, Chronic's going to go down. Ares is on fire as of right now. 6-1 for the Mave. Did have to take a brief break from the game, sitting in his base as he respawns. Freeze God undying until just this moment. Chronix finds a nice needle shot. He's going to be able to get rid of him, as well as some help from Evil Eye to get rid of Mitao. And that payload is almost converted. Like, that is about as close to conversion as you can physically get in a map without actually converting. And it's going to start the regress as SSG lose their fight, lose their hold on it. With 30 seconds left, all you need is one really good overtime, and you could still find yourself up 2-0.
Yeah, for sure. Kanga getting a nice placehold here, though, just to make themselves a little bit more comfortable. Pushing out into some nice positioning, just to allow Spacestation not to have a totally free entry here. They didn't push out too aggressively, but you kind of don't really see that on this map. Pushing aggressively on this map tends to be a little bit too dangerous. There's very specific choke points that you do want to hold here, which is exactly where Kanga place themselves, but I mean, they're falling fast, and now they don't have a healer either.
I mean, they're trying to do anything and everything they can. Sadak, Freeze God are the ones getting kills. Sadak, Freeze God are the ones pushing it in. Rachao off to the side as well, making sure things go well for them. Aries, I think it's easy enough to say that while you always see Sadak, you always see Freeze God, I think, going big. Aries has been pretty crucial to this team this week. Not just this set, 22 and 11, I believe, earlier is the slash line I remember from Shattered Desert, but even here, I mean, that triple kill kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it was a beautiful triple kill as well. His rotations on abilities was spot on. Used it perfectly. Even the first shot onto the BK didn't use his F for the extra damage. Waited until he got the first shots, which were confirmed, and then he knew he could get the kill. Procs the F mid-air just for the extra damage. Really, really nice plays from Aries there.
Keeps himself afloat, keeps the team going forward. You can see the economy shifting as the items come through. Bulldozer picked up for 2 members of Spacestation Gaming, as they are still very heavily in the lead in terms of credits. They're going for these kills. Scout's already out in the air. Joel's is already half health, forced to fall back. Healing's going to keep him afloat, no problem. Luna in an awkward spot behind the objective. King Bomb rolling forward. Evil Eye looking for somebody, anybody, everybody on SSG. He's going to get a stun around the corner for Rachao. It's not going to result in anything except his death with a nice overpower coming from Sadak.
I'm not quite sure what Kanga was looking for there. They gave away a lot of map control to Spacestation for the entirety of the point fight, which allowed them to get the Inara really low. They did try to push through there with the Bomb King, but I mean, he had no target for so far into the fight. They just found it to no avail. Put himself into a terrible position that allowed the Khan to just get the easiest overpower that you could probably find. And I mean, that's the target that they need to get on this map. Once the BK is gone, they don't really have anything left to fight on these close quarters. Yeah. I said these close quarters engagements, Bomb King, he reigns supreme. He's the king for a reason, you know, but Leanne into the Maeve, Cassie afterwards, once the Bomb King's gone, that's not a fight that I want to take.
I think this has just been showcased by the example of everything that happened after Bomb King died in that fight. I mean, Kanga, there was fights going on, there were shots being thrown, and all of them were SSG pretty much winning every step of the way. Good control on the tanks, good control against anyone and everyone. They find themselves up 3-0 here on Jag Falls. Scout coming out again, maybe a little early with his team regrouping, but Evil Eye forced to fall back. Gets the payload moving again. And they're going to kind of wander through this no man's land on Jag Falls into the base pretty quickly if they keep up this pace.
Really nice grab there, putting Ozran into a very difficult position and allowing Spacestation to easily clean him up. We see the Fury ult coming out now. Aggressive plays straight into a barrack ult. The synergy between these boys is just phenomenal. There's nothing more you can say about it. They really do know the game. They know exactly what they want from each circumstance, and they each play it to a T. They even now have the commander's grab from Khan. Oh,
well, they had it.
Miss it.
Unfortunately, there for Sadak is going to end up going down. Tried to go for the grab, but it's not going to be enough. That keeps the Ashe alive and keeps her in here as they break the base. 1:20 on the clock to try and continue pushing forward, and it is Freeze God all day in terms of damage, baby. He is the one who is causing a lot of trouble. Sadak with a long-range kill on the Chronix keeps them moving forward. They need to charge up some of these ults. Midnight about to come back up. Inflame at about 63%, so they will have this in their arsenal. They just have to find anything. Ashe going to use her assert dominance off on the side. 2 and 6 is the slash line there for Rhino. He's getting pushed against the wall. As right now, the minute left, kills are starting to come up. There's a trade. Freeze God for Rhino. They're going in for the kill. It's going to be Aries looking for it, but he's going to get taken down, and that might just be enough to pause this one for Kanga.
Again, a nice ult combo is coming out from Kanga as well. The Begon into the Bomb King ult there was quite nice. I think it would have been nice to see the Begon used in an angle that would have pushed them off the map, but putting yourself into a position where you get in maybe one free kill in exchange for the support being in a bad placement, probably not worth it in the long run. Another Inflame coming out though from the Furia.
Yeah.
These ults from Furia just charge so incredibly fast in these high pressure games where the Furia can do a lot of damage and she can do a lot of healing. Those ults charge up insanely quick.
And they do a lot. They've been able to get SSG back in this fight. Looking for a kill here. They're going to be able to get Gara and Evil Eye before they can back to base. It's going to be one Joel's between them and a victory here. Maybe a touchdown for someone else. No, not able to get out of the base fast enough for Kanga. And we were having a conversation, 7 minutes ago, about how Bomb King could be really big on this map.
Yep.
And maybe not glancing over too much of SSG here as they come through. Ares had a very big game, but on the other side, Evil Eye did not fill the role I think they wanted to see.
No, most certainly not. The Bomb King did not show up in there in the fashion I would like him to. I did notice towards the end, I seen Khan's weapon shooting relatively slowly. I thought to myself, there's no way he's gone for the stun, has he? But he was actually playing stun Khan, which probably would work quite well against the Bomb King. If you push into him in the circumstances where you know you're going to lose the fight because you can throw bombs over your shields, why not just grab him, stun him, and give such easy kill potential to the remainder of your team?
Yeah. Or set yourself up to just turn around and be like, all right, headshot, headshot, headshot.
Yeah,
Either way,
true,
you're happy.
very
Anybody's
true.
happy as long as he's gone. And Evil Eye was gone for a lot of that one. The rest of the team goes big for SSG. They break the tie. They're up 2-1. One more, and they'll seal their fate moving forward in the bracket. We'll have to see if they can do it right after this.
One more game, one more win for SSG, and the tie is broken here in this best of 5. And this one, the most convincing one of this set so far after 2 7-point games. SSG run away with this one 4-0. Blue, I think a little bit better drafting there. Maybe keeps them in this game a little bit longer and convincing top to bottom. I think that's the word you used to describe that game.
Yeah, much better drafting, much better gameplay from them as well. They did their job very well. And Sadak, especially, we talked about Rachao versus Joel's at the main tank position, which of those two will step up. But on the other hand, the two better tanks on both teams are their off tanks in Sadak and Rhino. Sadak really stepped up there with the Khan. Finally picked it for them to play.
Yeah.
Maybe they learned their lesson from the Frozen Guard game.
You can see the difference that it makes. I mean, the damage number's not out of this world by any means, but I think you brought a lot of presence to the table. Mitao as well, about 20,000 healing higher than what Garo was able to bring on the enemy team. And you know, Sadak, the damage numbers maybe small. His slash line one of the best, but 8, 1, and 12. And you can just what this Khan brings for this side, I think cannot be understated, and especially when you put it in the hands of Sadak.
Yes, look at that. 1, 2.
Just run him down. And
this man is a machine.
It's like it's like a subtle Khan flank. You don't see that all
This is what I do in ranked. I just pick Khan, no matter who I'm playing against, no matter what.
You pick the Commander's Grab stun talent?
No, I pick Storm of Bullets, you know, because I can do DPS, I can shield, I can heal myself.
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. He's had the same crack in his glasses since like halfway through the second split.
Wait, not only that, he was sitting so still, I thought that was a picture.
Oh, you thought it was a freeze frame?
It froze.
Listen, I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, his glasses are broke.
Yeah, but I mean his gameplay. It's all this one big aura that seems to be working for SSG. That game's a great example. 8-1-12, a 20 KDA for him, only dying once and affecting 20 kills on either end. I think that's one. If you're Kanga, you just got to brush that one off. It's one of those blowout losses where nothing was going to go in your favor that game. Just move on to the next one. Now it's your map pick. Another chance to tie this one up. Keep yourself in the winner's bracket, and it is going to be Ascension Peak for them. So maybe watch out for that ruckus. We kind of mentioned it a couple of times in the last pick ban phase, and this is an area where we could potentially see it.
I just want a Fernando.
It's not going to happen. I just don't. I will gladly eat my words.
4 tank bans, and then both teams triple tank. How many is that? 6. That's 10.
Well, Kanga are going to ban.
I think we have 10.
Atlas or Makoa. SSG are going to ban Strix.
We have 8 or 10.
No, I'm already off. What?
We have 8 or 10 tanks.
I'm not doing this math live right now because it's not going to work out. Willow first ban.
It didn't work, guys. Mixer,
listen,
I tried to bait him.
I'll let you do the math while I'm breaking down the bans if you'd like. But Willow, Atlas both banned out here. Kanga now can choose if they want to either ban out the Makoa, ban out the Strix, or ban out something different entirely. Force SSG to then ban either the Strix or the Makoa, whichever one is left over.
I want to see Strix and I want to see Makoa.
I think that's what they're doing here.
Oh,
so SSG
baby.
are going to have to now ban out Strix or Makoa, and that's going to give Kanga their pick.
Nah, dude, they're banning Khan.
Of
Leave
one
Makoa,
of the two.
Strix up.
Yeah, actually, that's true. Right, for yourself, you're right. So maybe now if you're SSG, you ban out something a little different. Leave yourself what's left between Strix.
See, if I'm Space Station, I'm not banning Makoa because I'm not scared of Kanga's Koa.
Sure. I think that's fair. I think you have to leave one of the two up for yourself now.
Leave the Toidle. Leave the Toidle.
Because I think Kanga... All right, so they are going to ban out Makoa. Likely I would say Strix if I'm drafting for Kanga right now. But I don't know if SSG...
That's better than Makoa going first pick to Kanga.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if SSG really dive into that Strix though. I mean, I think Kanga are smart here. Lock in the Strix, get Chronix back on something that he can carry a game with. And now you need it. You got to win 2 straight. Starts here with potentially a tying game. SSG then have the con left up for themselves, and maybe you're going to lock that one in. But I like the way Kanga have played this draft. We're first pick. Ban out the Willow, the Cassie. SSG ban out the 2 off tanks and grab themselves Strix.
We might just get the Ruckus, man. If they're going to first pick Khan here for Rachao, they can bring out the Ruckus. For
Kanga?
Sadak. No, for SSG.
Double off tank? Yeah, I could be okay with that. I like...
That's their style, man.
No, I agree.
Brazil, you know?
I think the Ruckus works. I think the Ruckus works. Depending on what else you build around this, especially with Cassie off the table. Do you like playing Khan Ruckus into a Strix, though?
I don't like playing against Strix at all.
I guess that's fair. No matter what, you're going to be sad playing into it, but that's the cards they've been dealt throughout this pick ban phase. They elected to ban Makoa instead of the Strix, or Atlas instead of the Strix, depending on what you want to look at that one. They're going to get a Genos Barrack as well. A strong first 3 here from Kanga.
Barrack, strong with Genos, but even stronger because it's for Jules.
Yeah.
Now, what are they going to pair with, not the Barrack, but the Strix for the DPS duo?
Yeah, I think that's an Evil Eye question here. Drogo's had seen some play on Ascension Peak for a little while. Evil Eye had kind of opted into that here and there.
There's the Ruckus.
It is Ruckus. All right. So they grab Conmay, Fury, or Ruckus. Aggression once that Inflame hits.
All right, baby. Here's what you do. You grab Fernando.
Listen, I'm just going to let you keep saying Fernando.
And you grab Grover.
Didn't they go? They went Barrack and Nara the last time 2 off tanks were taken. There's still Ashe on the table for Rhino, and I think Ashe is one of his best off tanks, one of the best off tanks.
Okay, Rhino is better for. Okay, all right.
I think it's Strix, Barrack, Genos,
Ashe,
and then.
Oh wait, I'm surprised SSG didn't take the Ashe to push
Could
the
be.
Strix.
Yeah, I don't know. You're gonna have to pick something to counter out Maeve here, and you also have to leave something
Ash
a little
Grover.
open
Ash
because
Grover.
with SSG still last picking here, they've opted for the Leon a couple of times, so that's something you have to be mindful of here if you're Kanga, that a Leon could be coming out. No chance. Blue has been saying Fernando this entire
Let's
time.
go, baby! Kang Gang! Oh, I'm the Nan Daddy!
God, head and hands right now. On the, all right, you set Fernando constantly, and you finally get yourself Fernando.
Oh, baby, and they break out the Viv.
Vivian as well. All right, I'll give it to you.
That's a good record.
All right. I'm gonna pivot this away. Tell me why you like them going Fernando here. What about the Fernando Vivian do you like?
Because when I wake up in the morning, I look in the mirror and say, I am the greatest looking human ever. And I'm pretty sure that's what Fernando does.
Somehow this is not based in.
I'm going to cosplay Fernando at High Res Expo. I just have to wear a Speedo, right?
I don't think they let you in if you're only wearing
If I'm cosplaying, I mean.
All right, listen. Don't put. I don't know. I'm not in charge of security. I can't make those rules. I certainly am not going to be the one to decide on that right now. I think Fernando has his merits in the actual game of Paladins. I think that Kanga think that it's going to work here. He definitely has, in some team composition, started to come back into the meta a little bit. SSG round out with the Bomb King for themselves. So that could be a treat to watch. Freeze got on the Bomb King with Ares on the Mave. Do you like what SSG have drafted here to counter out?
Nope.
Do you like
Kanga's
is it
draft.
Because of the Fernando, though?
Yeah,
Is this just biased?
Just forget all of my analysts.
It's just, all right. He everything else aside, he likes Fernando because...
Kanga can lose, but if Fernando drops a nuke, I love it.
What is that, 25 kills in a row, and he gets to just end the game?
Yeah.
Casters, please just take it.
Well, that one's me. I guess we're the casters. We'll just take it here. As the Fernando and the Vivian get locked in there at the very end. So, Bees, I'm going to wait until it comes back on screen just to make it a little easier for you, see all in its full flesh as we come to Ascension Peak for what could be the third and final game here if SSG can just squeak this one out. But the question that's going to end up getting levied to you is looking at Kanga. Is this the kind of draft that equalizes things? I mean, you get Chronix on Strix. It's hard to argue against.
I just don't understand why Nando on this map.
Of all maps.
Yeah, he's not been fantastic this, well, not been used at all in this, but I mean in the split in general, he's not been the best of champs. But like, why Ascension Peak? He can only really hold either one far right side or one far left side. His mid-fight on this, not really phenomenal. And you're kind of putting him into a Ruckus who wants the Ruckus if he opts to go for Rekka. He's just going to shred your shield instantly. He's gone for a shield cooldown deck though. I don't know. We'll just have to see how it plays out. I mean, these guys, I feel like Kanga do this kind of thing. This is what Kanga's known for. They take something that maybe you're not really expecting and somehow they make it work. That's what the boys do. So I have every faith in them. Is it an equalizing game for them? I don't know. I like Spacestation's draft probably a lot more than I do currently for Kanga.
I think what they can do with it and how much they're able to accomplish. Evil Eye incredibly low right there. This is going to be first blood for Ares as he goes up, gets aggressive. Jules goes down right there after. Point control, 57-15 here as this is G. Not only have complete control of it, but they have a vast lead. Good shots coming down from Chronix, connecting on pretty much every target he needs, but it's not finding any kills thanks to, well, the fact that his team died in front of him. No one's going to be able to touch. And that's looking like SSG clean all day.
Yeah, if you even look there, the Nando shield went up and instantly dropped. And we're talking on round 1.
I mean, it's...
Before Rekkers have come online, the Nando shield is gone.
You have the con as well on SSG, so it's just like, hey, that shield's up. It's looking like a mighty nice cooldown you got there.
I've got this F button here, and I'm going to make you hold an L with it. Especially, I want to see him be thrown out of the map, actually, now. I've just decided I want to see him be thrown out of the map with it.
Not enough to just get rid of his shield. He has to get tossed out of the map. Get him out of here.
Yeah, the biggest of L's must be held.
Rhino forced to fall back. That shield went up, that shield went down. And I will give Kanga credit for one thing, even though the Fernando doesn't seem to be working just yet. I think they've eliminated and reduced it down. I believe there's only one champion now who hasn't been played this week, and that would be Shaolin. I think everyone else has been played.
Shaolin's in such a weird spot in the meta. You know, there was a time when Shaolin was truly such a power pick to be taken out, especially when Eevee was a bit of an issue. Charlene seemed to be the counter draft to it, but I feel like the spot's just been taken by Buck.
Yeah.
If you need something to deal with the Eevee, you just go with the Buck now rather than the Charlene. I mean, Charlene has his issues, but he's still a relatively good champ. But yeah, I think he's just not as safe as the Buck can be.
Well, someone's got to play him in these next 2 games after this. Next 2 sets, I should say, after this. Potentially more games after this. Just to make sure he has a record. Whether it's a loss, it doesn't really matter to me. Sadak, well, he's going to do exactly what you said earlier. He's going to melt through that shield, then melt through the rest of the health bar. Rhino goes down, makes it a 4v5. Inflame looks to be coming up here as they break through the archway. Probably the hardest part of this map to bust down. 40 seconds left on the clock. Evil Eye on the Vivian. Not a sentence I'm used to saying. Kind of felt weird having it come out. He's not going to be doing too much from the high ground. Snipes going up into the air, looking for the Mave. Going to be able to find it. Good shots from Chronix to get rid of that. The Inflame is good, though, and it's causing a lot of damage and distress. Rachao goes down just after the Mave. So with Ares and Rachao gone, the rest of SSG look to fall back. That Inflame stopped in its tracks.
Really good defense there. Phenomenal shots coming out from Chronix. Definitely one of the best shots in the league. 100%. Chronix such a great player. Now, looking at the things that we're seeing, Chronix just picking up Cauterize level 2 and getting picked up handily by Khan there.
All right, that's enough of that. You calm down, get down here, and just go away. For a little bit, Rhino looking to follow his path. The shield goes up, but he is out of this one. Joel's, the bell's going to be rung on Barrick's head right there, and it's going to be kills, kills, kills. Freeze God on the Bomb King finds 2, and they walk that one on in. This is a very close end, kind of saved by Chronix because of the way he played. Once you get rid of that Strix, it seemed to open up the doors wide for SSG.
I'm not sure where they're saving the Fernando ult there with the play. The Barrack ult, it was already used earlier in the fight. Is it worth saving a Fernando ult on such a broad map that it's worth guaranteeing that you lose? Because he could have saved the Barrack there and saved himself, giving his team a little bit of time to regroup, get some healing out. I think they could have potentially defended that with the Fernando ult. I'm not sure whether it was worth saving there.
Well, we'll have it coming into this round, but with how wide the point is, you could Fernando ult on one side and still die on the other if you're not careful.
Yeah, precisely.
So I think a lot of pressure maybe onto Chronix to make things work for them. Same thing, Joel's is going to be able to get up there, get aggressive. Point contested by both teams right now. Spacestation kind of taking a slow roll, trying to deal with it, burn down the shield for Rhino. It's an 8-second cooldown, so it's not as bad as it could be. That's 8 seconds that you can get aggressive into the Fernando, where he can't really do anything about it. Still haven't found a kill just yet. Kanga have gotten 31% on the point.
They're almost just leaving the Fernando. They're burning the shield and then just leaving him in the corner and pushing towards the point and saying, what are you going to do? You have a ruckus in your face. Like even with your ulti here, they still win. Like,
wow.
That is the ultimate thing that he can do, is he can go in, he can save lives, and he can sustain for literally as long as possible because you can't kill him. And even with that available, it's just not enough. I don't see why the pick for the Fernando on this map was... Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I can't come up with a reasoning.
Well, he got some burn damage and did get a kill, I guess, out of it. Either way, had to use everything in his kit to do so. So you can argue whether it's worth it or not in chat as much as you want. 75% to 62. King Bomb going to be rolling forward. Freeze God potentially looking for a kill right here. If he can detonate in the right spot, he'll find it, but that Midnight well-timed. Good overpower as well. Grabs Joel's, gets the kill. Chronix does get a return pick onto Ares, but it doesn't matter. 2 versus 1 is the trade, and SSG are the ones left standing around the objective. They're up 3-0. They push this in, they walk it through, and they go guaranteed top 2 for quarterfinals. Kanga dropped down to play the Renegades, so a lot has to change in the next 2 minutes. 13 seconds for Kang to stay alive.
Yeah, most certainly. We also see it here on the screen right now, the damage shielded. Very high statistics for both Barrack and Fernando. But the thing is, that actually ends up turning into a bit of a negative. When 2 of your main tanks, or your only 2 main tanks, rely so heavily on shielding, it just adds more value to each level of record that you get. You're not destroying one tank at the moment now, you're destroying both tanks with one singular item. And as I said earlier, Barrack's bowling ball is the only reason that he is a point tank. If you don't play Barrack with fail-safe resets and bowling ball, he is not a point tank anymore. He does not have survivability. So these wreckers coming online are just tearing Kanga apart. Look at that. His bowling ball is instantly gone.
Oh, wow. He's going to be able to stay alive, but just by the skin of his teeth there under the dome shield, Joel's is going to be able to pick the kill off to Ares. There's going to be the King Bomb. Freeze God trades his life for that one. So it's 2-for-1 trade in total for that Barrack, with they get rid of Rhino, and they're moving this payload forward. Evil Eye has to drop down to try and keep things going. Sadak trades out his life with it. That's a double kill for Chronix in the back line, looking for 3 against Rachao. One more shot will do it, and that is all they need to find themselves a little bit of a sustain for this. A minute left, about 10% of the push. SSG gonna regroup. You can see Freeze God waiting, Sadak coming up in the background as we see the silhouettes come through. They have just enough ults, soon enough a Hexafire, a Midnight, and an Overpower.
Yeah.
They could still do it.
Precisely what I was about to say. The Chronix once more coming in with an incredible clutch save, but Rachao was on 98% of his ult. Oh! They do hit it. I thought he missed it there for a moment. But, I mean, not the target they went for last time. Is it the right play to go for the Fernando when you're so easily burning through him already? I would like to have seen them go for the Strix again. The Strix is definitely the crux to their defense, especially here. This is one of the best plays that I like to do with Strix. I like running Nocturnal on Strix, and when they're trying to push that through, just standing just outside the range of the defense, help them keep them from being able to push it through and just staying in vis. Such a good play.
And it seems like it's going to work this time around. You have a couple members of SSG. Freeze God has come back, but respawn proximity in favor of Kanga. Vivian just burning through anyone and everyone health bar-wise. Good hit scan, good stun, but it's not going to be enough. Sadak, Ares go down. Freeze God follows pursuit. Follows suit, not pursuit. They get pursued on out of there. And Kanga stay alive in this one. It's kind of a clutch save towards the end. Whether you want to say it falls down, I think Chronix probably most notably jumping down there was the big thing. With the overpower, you can argue the targets all day. They went for who they went through, 4. And now,
I mean, so long as you don't miss it, it's
stuck.
still going to be a good ultimate, to be
Still a
honest.
kill.
As long as you make it 4v5 with that ultimate, it's still a kill, precisely. I think this could be a turning point now for Kanga. We've already seen that the shielding for Fernando was already non-questionable. It wasn't working for them, so that's not something that progressively got worse. However, now that Kanga have a little bit more of survivable time, they have more credits built up for themselves. Are the credit differences, if they start to even out a little bit in favor of Kanga, is that going to be what they need to start swinging the fight? Are the wreckers on Evil Eye into the ruckers going to start shredding him at a speed that's going to make him just as, I don't want to say useless, but just as ineffective as maybe we've seen the Nando be throughout this round?
well, Immortal already popped this early on. Health bar is going to get melted by Evil Eye, but he's the one getting melted right now. Joel's Evil Eye both go down. Rhino, in an unfortunate spot, a double kill for Freeze God as he picks up that one with the final bomb. Looking for some Hail Marys here on the Chronix. Isn't going to be able to find one, but it doesn't matter when you have your buddy Ares getting aggressive with you. They're going for about as hard a zone as you can. They are just outside the base of Kanga on Ascension Peak. King Gong being channeled. King Bomb rolling forward. Joel's going down one more time with Freeze God and Rachao holding the sideline, and they're still picking it up. 72% to 31 right now for SSG as the kills are all coming up red. Chronix, the last saving grace, not going to come through. They missed the overpower because they killed him too fast, and it doesn't matter what's going on. All that is outside of the base. That was a mid-fight, and Mitau had probably the most boring perspective. Everybody else is up there getting kills, and well, he just stood on the point dutifully.
Spacestation, they just had to prove me wrong, didn't they? They had to show me the time when an overpower is allowed to be missed and still be totally fine. You know, when the whole enemy team is dead and you're a 99 on the point, maybe then you're allowed to miss.
What do you mean I can't grab that body?
Yeah. I can still grab. I can see the body. Why can't I grab it? Apparently you can't, my friend. Apparently you can't. Very convincing win coming out from the Space Station boys, and very handily with a 3-1 scoreline as well. Very strong performance.
Now Kanga, they're looking. You're not too distraught from it. I mean, admittedly, SSG are probably the most dangerous in placement weeks than we've seen in the past.
Yes.
Part of the reason they made it to semifinals last year in Worlds, and now they guarantee themselves at least one of the top 2 seeds coming out of this tournament, which means one of the bottom 2 seeds that came from the PPL. So Virtus Pro or Envy more than likely to be their opponents.
Yes.
Everybody else, Kanga going to go down to fight with Renegades, look for who's third, and whoever wins that comes back to fight SSG one more time. Either way, it's going to be a rematch. It'll be interesting to see, but SSG look unstoppable. Let's see what the desk thinks.
There's a small slip up from SSG earlier on in this set, but they bounce back, win a couple straight, and now punch their ticket towards one of the top 2 seeds in this one. I think draft is kind of the thing to break down here if you're looking back at Kanga's performance on Ascension Peak. Blue, you are hyped about the Fernando, but I think the more you look at it, you pick it into you pick a Fernando into a Khan, which is traditionally not a very strong matchup for that Fernando, and I just think it got melted a few times. Do you maybe pivot that into an Ashe, which was still available for Rhino in retrospect?
Yeah, that was a terrible pick in that draft. The Ashe would have done better there.
You were the biggest fan of Fernando not 10 minutes ago when that game started. And
yeah, because I like Fernando.
You like Fernando. All right, well, Fernando didn't do very well in this one, as you can see by the post-game stats. Hanging out at top damage only over the healers in this one. You know, there were moments, I think, where Rhino kind of, you see why some people may lean into the Fernando. I know Navi has loved the Fernando pick, at least when we saw them towards the end of the PPL split. Haven't seen them in a couple of weeks. We'll see them this weekend. But they make it work with kind of this point off tank mix, and I don't think that it was the best kind of pick into what Spacestation had drafted here.
Yeah, the Ashe would have been better to create some more space for the Vivian and Strix to do some work. It wasn't working because Rhino was being forced back. Barrick was falling very early in the fights,
right,
meaning Fernando would have to sit back, kind of play that main tank. But that doesn't work when you have such an aggressive comp from SSG. Again, they like this playstyle. Khan, Furia, Ruckus, Bomb
right,
King, Maeve, all of them. They're moving fast, and they're coming right at you
right,
with tons of DPS, tons of burst, and they just have no care in the world. And that's what happened in that game. It went very fast. There was only one defense. Looked like that almost didn't happen either. So very fast gameplay from SSG. Very good fast gameplay.
Right, this one was a 4-1, and it was the moment that Inflame hit. There wasn't enough really sustain. You have a little sustain with the Formidable, but as you mentioned, I think once the first couple of members of Kanga started to fall, there just wasn't enough room for that Fernando to really stay alive. And the kind of bounce back and forth, I loved them, SSG, going into the Maeve, going into the Bomb King. I think that puts both Ares and Freeze God into a comfortable spot. And then the Ruckus as well. They finally pivot into it later on in this set, but I think that's something you're playing against SSG, you have to be wary of, because Sadak makes it look very, very good.
Yeah, that was a very strong game for them. They had Sadak playing as Ruckus, which is insane this week so far. Then you have Ares, who's getting some kills on the Maeve, and
right,
Maeve hasn't been doing so hot until today, so that was huge. And then you have Rachao, who's main tanking. He stepped up, and he was playing the Khan very well. He
right,
got a double kill there. And Freeze God playing the Bomb King, which has been huge for a lot of teams this week. So
good drafting there from SSG. So now Kanga, with that loss, drop down. They'll play the Renegades next. And if Kanga win that one, they'll jump back up and play SSG. So there's a world where we see 3 Kanga sets in a row today. But SSG, they are able to grab themselves a win, a spot in our 4th and final set of the day. Sadak and Ares are standing by. Have a listen.
Well, congratulations, guys, on your victory once again. This time a 3-1, so cutting, I guess, closer than your other sets have so far. But you secure yourself guaranteed top 2 seed coming out of this tournament, so guaranteed, I guess, bottom 2 seed coming out of the PPL that you'll play on Saturday. How are you feeling? I mean, just knowing that going ahead, is there anyone that you'd rather see on Saturday, or are you just looking at the fact that you've been winning?
I mean, we're going to win anyways, so it really doesn't matter who we face.
As in the past, I mean, last year, you made it in a very, very dominant style to the semifinals, pushed Envy to 7 games before they went on to win the championship. Is this feeling like a similar and or better run than what you were feeling last year at the same time?
Last year, we just from one step from winning the HRX. At least that's what we felt, right?
Now he can speak Portuguese.
Now I can finally speak Portuguese.
And you're not just getting pulled in kind of like last minute, hey, Sadak, we need you.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So, yeah, we're feeling pretty confident.
With this set, you know, going up against Kanga, no matter who you face next, it'll be a rematch. Do you have any predictions, I think, like for the bottom bracket, how things are going to be shaping out? I mean, obviously you're looking pretty dominant, but you've been controlling everybody. Has anyone given you more trouble? Anyone you'd prefer to see?
I mean, Kanga has a unique playstyle, you know. We knew that. That's why we drafted the way we drafted. So, yeah, I mean, we are prepared for both of them. So.
And that entire set, and speaking of drafting, was just kind of chess games between the two of you, it felt like. Where do some of the decisions kind of come through? I mean, Bomb King seemed like he was nowhere. All of a sudden, this tournament, he's kind of coming back into it. Freeze God did really well. Where do those decisions get made?
Sometimes we just have an idea and we just let the guy who's gonna play the champion to decide if he wants or not. So we are going to get Lian or Bomb King and just say like, Freeze, it's your pick, just decide what you want. And he said, okay, I'm gonna try to play Bomb King, and it worked.
Well, it always works, I guess. When everyone's comfortable, everyone's happy. At least here for SSG, you guys move on to the grand finals for this one. Congratulations on your win over Kanga. 3-1 once again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Salve, Monzeira.